Yeah.
I'm happy to serve that function. Nora is really an extraordinary person who was full of life and who lived a very long and happy life. Able to exercise and so we would like to invite family and friends to come up and say family members have already thought about
my name is Ben Vanderter, and really pregnant with Xiangmi at the time. He introduced me to CF's niece, Faan-Hoan, who had just come to the U.S. from Taiwan to study in the department. And this is the woman I was to marry 5 years later. So the bonds for the family grew substantially from that point on. And Faan-Hoan and I, we were very much supported by Nora and CF and their home and the entertainment for the children for the wedding. And so on a very July 19th, 1975, Faan-Hoan and I were married there, and had quite a lovely reception, and people flowed into the backyard. The garden was not as extensive then. Always a beehive of activity upstairs. There were people typing up translations. There were deliveries of manuscripts. There were things being shipped out. There was a lot of running up and down the stairs by Nora from the second floor to the first floor, sometimes to the basement. All kinds of some of Nora's kids will probably elaborate a bit on this as time goes on here, but there was always table tennis going on in the basement, it seemed like. Table tennis players coming and going. Remember Attila the Hun Georgian? Another player that visited sometimes. To drive everybody crazy. We were either invited to workers or employees that were doing the help with the translations and typing and so forth, and so they became friends, and family and friends became workers and were assigned various jobs around the house and the garden and so forth. And it was quite an energetic place, and Faan and I both liked that atmosphere very much. Now, as the kids got in, Faan and I were attending Colorado, and of course, there was a wedding in Boston, a part of and CF's extended family. Now, in later years, I don't know, beginning about 6 years or so ago, I guess, Nora began going down and spending substantial amounts of time in Florida. But she enjoyed her hobbies of photography, especially. Got a lot out of the time that she spent there. And about 5 years ago, my close friend Nancy and I began sort of annual visits to Florida. And a highlight of those trips and visits was always to spend a few days with Nora, and she liked to expeditions to go out and do a little photography in some of the gardens and natural spots along there, and I was interested in photography, so together. She was in Delray Beach and then the Beach, and we met her friends Larry and Barbara and Judy and really had pleasant times with her down there. And she had managed to make a whole new sort of circle of friends. Activities. She joined some clubs down there. She, exercised regularly. She, as I said, did a lot of photography. About 2 years ago, Nora suggested that we visit the American Orchid Society, which had a lovely garden and center down there near where they live. So and I went with Nora to take photographs of the orchids, and we had which was locked, and the gift store was dark. And apparently they'd forgotten about us. So we wondered what to do. So the time was changed that I would go around the fence, wade through the water, so I could assist her over the fence or catch her when she's done. But cooler heads somehow prevailed, and we decided that, at age 86, maybe that wasn't really the best thing to do. So I did make it around the fence, and I didn't get very good, not being around about here. And there were no gators in that pond, so that's good. And I did manage to get around to the front of the building, and there was someone coming out. There was editorial offices, I think, for the magazine or whatever upstairs. So someone was able to respond to me, and we were able to get out of there. So that's one of the advantages we had. Those who were down there visited Nora. She had an idea that she wanted to enter something that, she's been doing some lovely work. And I think the residential community that she was in is our involuntary servitude. Store for more furniture, materials or something. But to sit just Nora and I, taking the glass out of the frames and and she has. So, that was really a very special time for me. And then last year when we went down, she was in failing health, beginning to really have trouble getting around. But we visited. The newspaper clippings from, I think, the local the two major prizes in the contest, and she was very proud of it. She could be very competitive, not in a very had almost everything she put her hand to for life, and it's really meant. That's what I wanted to say.
So my uncle CF and CH, they left China in 1948, I think, and came to this country and started attending University of Illinois. And something that you may not know was that, because at the time, my grandfather, maternal grandfather, was an influential financier and a government minister. It was supposed that these two sons would go back and serve as his right and left hand assistants. And so one of them majored in political science, and the other one was actually an economics major at the University of Illinois. During the course of their study, China fell to the communists, and it became very clear that two Chinese immigrants in America in the professions of political science and economics were going to starve to death in those days. And therefore, after they finished their undergraduate degree, they started their PhD studies in chemistry. That's how they became eventually chemistry professors. And so my uncle CH, who is unable to travel here today because he has chronic back pain, wrote a very short remembrance that he asked me to read. I met Nora when she first came to America from Australia in the mid-1950s. At the time, my brother and I were both graduate students at the University of Illinois. When my brother informed me of their plan to get married, I had strong reservations about his marrying a foreigner. Serendipitously, my brother and I both accepted academic positions at universities within driving distance of each other. So CH was at Brooklyn Poly, and CF went to University of Connecticut at the time. So I visited them often and developed a strong love of Nora because of her empathetic nature, her perseverance, her directness, and above all, her innocence, which was in spite of her already then extensive and sometimes unpleasant life experiences. Truly, I am proud to have had her as a member of the Liu family. That was my emphasis. I think Faan-Hoan would like to. Is it Faan-Hoan? Oh.
More than any other person I've known, my mother was a complex and multifaceted person. Did you know her? Did I know her? Which sides did I know? My mother the businesswoman? My mother the boss? Did you know her? My mother the Jew? My mother the atheist? Did you know her? My mother the survivor. My mother survived a long list of traumas in her life from beginning to end. My mother the Hungarian. I learned Hungarian as an adult, in part to know my mother. Imagine speaking to your mother in her mother tongue for the first time. I'd known people in two languages before. People can be very different. And I was really looking forward to finding out who my mother was in Hungarian. And guess what? She was exactly the same. My mother the lover, my mother the wife. My mother and father had a long marriage. At one of its low points, I asked my father what they were doing. Why were they together? He told me I didn't understand, that it might seem bad now, but they would be a comfort to each other in their old age. And to be honest, I had disdain for him when he said that, because I thought he was a fool to think a path from here to there would just appear. And then at the end of his life, as he was dying, I saw my mom climb into his bed and call him. I thought, I'll be damned, Daddy, you were right. And here's an excerpt from an early letter from my father to my mother. Honey, I miss you. I can't even begin to describe how much I miss you. I'm in a pretty cheap hotel room. The time is 8:45. I'm almost sure that you are not home yet, but I'm calling you long distance anyway. I love you, I love you, I love you. More than that, more than anything. I can't seem to collect my thoughts together. All I know is I love you, and I dare anyone, anything to match 100 with my love for you. Oh, my honey. The operator just called me saying that she's trying to locate you in the lab. I don't care how much trouble they get into. I just want to talk to you. Oh, where are you? I just can't wait. My mother the gardener, my mother the imperious. I put those two together because She gardened by pointing to you where to go and what to do. My mother the friend, my mother the grandmother, my mother the artist, my mother the fashion-minded. You can see that in those old pictures that we show. And my mother the sister. There's a postcard she sent to me on her first trip back to Budapest after decades. Dear Faan-Hoan, I hope one day you can see this beautiful city too. We were thinking of you. It was a very tiring trip and we start the last leg tomorrow. Grandma is sorry she could not see you. She's 89. This time she was relatively well. My sister is great. She is a newfound friend, almost like a twin. We had a wonderful reunion. My mother the actor. My mother the stand-up comic. My mother the teacher. I know a little bit about this side of her. For example, I know that she had this novel idea, they had never heard of it yet in Australia. She taught at the University of Sydney, of giving her students scaffolded practice problems. She took the time to prepare something other university teachers at the time had also not discovered. She showed the students that she cared about them personally and about their success. And I believe she was beloved to them based on this story that she told me. One day in her freshman chemistry class, she casually mentioned that she wanted to see a new motion picture that was out called Kind Hearts and Coronets, but that she couldn't go to see it because it showed only during their class time. The next day, she came to give her lecture, and the entire lecture hall was completely empty. Not one student was sitting in there. And she was shocked and confused until one of her students came in and said, well, no one is here. I guess you might as well go to the movie. He escorted her to the movie theater where her entire class was waiting for her. She said they lit her cigarettes as she chain smoked through the entire movie, terrified that the department chair would come in and discover her. She said the movie was terrific. My mother, the lady scientist. My mother, the brilliant. My mother, the oblivious. Did you know about the time she parked her car, went into a store without putting the car into park? When she turned around, she saw her beloved red Corolla rolling slowly, bravely, and lonely, perpendicularly across Arlington Heights Road rush hour traffic. Finally climbing the curb to the other side, rolling over a cement parking barrel, and coming to rest. And most of you know the story of my mother falling asleep in the afternoon, waking up at what she believed to be dawn the next day. Spoiler alert, it was still dusk the night before. She drove to her morning dentist appointment as the sky grew ominously darker and darker. By the time she got to the dentist's office, saw the door was closed and locked, and went down to the building security office to find out why the dentist wasn't there, she saw it was pitch black outside. Bewildered, she asked the guard, "Is there an eclipse?" He looked at her like she was crazy and said, "No, lady, it's night." She used to write me letters when I first went to college. Remember letters? Here's a clip from one that gives me a lovely image of her and the sense of the humor she sometimes had. Okay, dear Faan-Hoan, blah, 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 I'm so busy, blah, 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 I have so much to do. Okay. Another thing worthy of my penmanship happened today, or this morning, or probably partially during the night. I picked a broccoli from our garden, and I was going to cook it last night. It looked really nice and fresh, but forgot about it and left it on the counter overnight. During this period, things that must have been unseen eggs hatched into little green bugs of this size. There's 3 teeny little dots on the paper. This is 3 of them. Nice little crawly things moving slowly, and it would not have been so bad except for their number. A low estimate is about 1,000. How many bugs make a monobug layer on a broccoli stalk? I'm surprised the whole broccoli did not move. I discovered this while Sally and Grace were typing, not making a peep. After all, this would really give a bad impression of organic gardening. And besides, some ladies might not like little green bugs, so I quietly slid broccoli cum monolayer of bugs into the sink and began the hunt. The quiet, slowly moving creatures were well on their way by this time to conquer the kitchen and possibly all of my plants. They are very soft, and a suitable murder weapon is a paper towel. I snuffed out uncounted lives today on the walls, counter, floor, and window. The warm kitchen windows seemed a desirable destination where new individuals could be discovered every 10 minutes. Luckily, I could keep Sally busy with easy dictation, and also luckily I had no idea this was happening, right? And also luckily Mr. Clark was late, so he missed the peak of the battle. Denise's spider webs, you know, it's different Denise, of course. Denise's spider webs, you know, the ones I wrote about yesterday, came in really handy. I'm sure the spiders had a banquet. My only hope is that the cactuses will spear the rest of them. Tomorrow I will put a piece of jewel-bought broccoli in the kitchen window as my scheme to attract the remaining lost souls. They seem so fragile. I do not think they would be able to puncture a succulent, but if I lose my plants to these guys, I'll let you know. My mother the fierce, my mother the vulnerable, my mother the infant, my mother the daughter, my mother the mother. Did you know her? You can't have known her fully because you weren't the one who discovered the secret locked box in the back of the basement closet. I found that box. But does that mean that I knew her? No, because how many other locked boxes were there that I didn't find, hidden away with contents that were shocking, or boring, or elucidating, or no longer relevant, or whose contents would open our hearts to the tenderness of another person's vulnerability? How many boxes did I never even know were there? I knew my mother well, and I also didn't know her at all. But what I can say with no doubt is that I really tried to know her, and that I loved her.
Hello, I'm Faan-Hoan. I am Nora's oldest son, and I want to thank you all who've come here to remember my mother with us, and thanks to all of those who aren't here but can still hear these words. I know you loved and admired her. And I just want to add one thing to what my sister said about the incident with the car rolling across the street. My mother confessed to me that when she looked out and saw the car, she said, "What idiot would let the car roll across the street?" So how much do you really know about Nora? Let's find out. I will ask a question and I'd like you to raise your hands in response. Question 1. Which of the following countries did Nora live in? Australia, Turkey, Canada. Australia. Have you heard about that one? Turkey, Canada. The answer is Australia and Canada. Which of the following did she do in her life? Water skiing, skateboarding. Water skiing, skateboarding, it was water skiing. She was younger. What did she have more of? Bookmarks or Beanie Babies? Bookmarks? Beanie Babies. Oh, that was a close one. I think it's bookmarks. Where was she born? Buda or Pest? Buda? Pest. Yeah, we're not really sure either. Okay, she legally changed her name from Lenora, Eleonora, or Noreen. Lenora, Eleonora, Noreen. Oh, you guys are good. Eleonora. Which of the following activities did she enjoy? Acting, gardening, photography, games, collecting, translating.
Yes.
Right. My mother is the person I've known the longest in my life, which is probably true for most everyone. I suppose that is true. But since I lived apart from her for so long, our relationship, like many sons with their mothers, became a telephone conversation. A typical one went like this. Long pause while she puts it on speakerphone. Hello? Hi, how are you doing? Well, I'm all right. Are you driving to work? Yes, lots of traffic. Maybe you could go earlier. Maybe, but I have to drop Cassandra off at school. Oh. How's the job going? Notice she does not wait for an answer here. You need stimulation for your brain. You always needed to be challenged. Are you taking your vitamins? Notice she does not wait for an answer here. You need vitamin C and vitamin E and folic acid. Folic acid? It helps build your red blood cell walls. You need that for your blood condition. Oh. And take astragalus before you get sick. Before? How do I know I'm going to get sick? You just know. Oh, okay. Oh, let me tell you, everyone loves that portrait of you. Did you know I won an award for that? Yes, you're a wonderful photographer. Oh, thank you. Everyone thinks that is a great picture of you. Such expression. Well, thank you. I'm at work now. I have to go. Oh, okay. Did I tell you I won an award for that portrait? Yes, I love you for it. Thank you. Love you. Bye-bye. We all have memories of Nora, memories we can keep and recall when we want. What makes us sad is that we can't make any new memories with her anymore. But I have an idea. When you're making a new memory and you think of Nora, mention her to those around. Then she will become part of the new memory. What is Nora's legacy? It is a full legacy inside each of us. Her legacy includes me. I am curious. I am personable. I am gentle. I am resilient. I am a survivor. I am Nora. It includes you. You are students, you are teachers, you are philosophers. You are multilingual. You are creative. You are Nora. And it includes all of us. We are social. We are loving. We are Nora. Thank you.
As I said, the brief time I spent with the Liu family was formative and very influential. And so I would just tell two anecdotes that reflect two different aspects of Nora, some of which have been alluded to very vaguely by some people. One of them was very personal to me. I'm a chemist, and at that time I was in high school. I was taking high school chemistry, and one of the subjects that was being covered at the time was how to balance oxidation reduction or redox equations. And what people don't tell you is that this is not just a method, it really is, it requires some art at the time. And the high school teacher had made a pig's breakfast of it, and so it was completely confusing and I couldn't do it. So I came home and I was frustrated. Nora was at the stove cooking, and I came into the kitchen and I said, "It's too complicated, I will never understand it." She slammed the spoon down and she says, "Don't you ever say that. If you put your mind to it, you can understand anything." And then she immediately stopped cooking, brought a piece of paper and pencil, sat me down at the dining table where we worked through a few examples. And of course, I can do redox equation balancing in my sleep today. And that was really one of the things that she always felt, that there was nothing intellectual that our minds cannot conquer if we simply apply ourselves. And I think it's an extremely wonderful attitude to have and to share. The second anecdote was probably at least 12 years after I'd left the house, and by that time was a graduate student or a postdoc. And I called Nora. I happened to have business in Chicago, so I thought I would come and visit her. And so I called her, and she was delighted that I would be coming to visit. So I told her I would come to Arlington Heights, and so I did that. And it was about mid-afternoon or early afternoon. I approached the house. Of course, the exterior of the house looked more or less the way I always did. You know, a red and brown, dark brown exterior with a wilderness in front and in back, with a crabapple tree that was so large that you had to either clamber over it or duck under it to get to the front door. And as you know, the front door was never locked. It had a ribbon with bells on it, so when you opened it, it jingled. And I walked in, bells jingled, and I heard her from the study on the second floor saying, "Faan-Hoan, is that you?" And I said, "Yes." And mind you, we have not seen each other for at least 12 years. Next thing she said was, "Could you fix me some lunch?" And I was momentarily off guard, and I said, "Oh, sure." And she says, "I have a gluten allergy, so I can only have rice. There are rice crackers in the cabinet right next to the refrigerator. I want a salad, just no tomato, just some lettuce leaves, and a little bit of mayonnaise for dressing. I have a dairy intolerance, and so there's almond milk in the refrigerator. Could you pour me a glass of almond milk?" And it was only when I brought all of this up to the second floor on a tray that I saw Aunt Nora after 12 years. And so many of you know that this is one of her talents. She had this remarkable ability to recruit people who then can regard this recruitment of service for Nora as an amusing and delightful incident in their lives. So she was truly memorable. And at this point, since there's so many friends and former colleagues, the family would really like to invite people from the audience to come up and share their thoughts. Oh, okay. So Nora's sister, Lucy, has sent something from Hungary. So Faan-Hoan will read that.
Drága édes egyetlen testvérkém, nagy boldogsággal emlékszem vissza rád. Eszembe jut a gyerekkorunk, hogy mennyire szerettük egymást, és hogy mennyire segítettél engem. Nagyon rossz volt, hogy a háború után nehéz időkben csak telefonon voltunk kapcsolatban egymással. De mégis lehetőség adott, azonnal siettél bennünket segíteni. Nagyon jó volt, hogy hosszú idő után személyesen is találkozhatunk kedves, szerető családoddal. Későbbi együttléteinkre is boldogan emlékszem vissza. Drága Norikám, nagyon-nagyon hiányzol. Jutikád. My dear sweet only sister, I'm reminiscing about you with great joy. I recall our childhood, how we used to love each other and how much you used to help me out. It was so awful that after the war we could only be in touch through the phone, but as soon as you got the chance you came to help us. It was so good meeting your nice loving family in person after a long time and thinking of our subsequent meetings with Bliss as well. Dear Norika, I miss you very much. Your Yuzi. And my cousin Nora sends us a letter. Dear Fanny, Faan-Hoan, and Xiaoming, we're deeply sorry we can't fly there to Nora's memorial. We wish we could be there a lot. We all are going to watch the service together online. So we will feel as we are there with you. Our heart and spirit will be there with you. We miss your mom so much. She was our caring, generous, and smart Nora lady. She loved us so much. She was a very, very good, and this was a very, very good and safety feeling. She will be in our heart forever. My mom doesn't catch that she lost her sister. She's very sad. We feel deep sadness too. Dear cousins, we are very, very sorry for your loss. Our whole family feels deep sympathy for you in the loss of your mom. We love you all. Nora's sister's family.
invite friends and colleagues from the audience to come up and say a few words.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Schaffner, chemist, member of the American Chemical Society, and very active in the Chicago section. I wouldn't give you all that introduction, except that that's the way I got to know Nora. And I first met her, a couple of miles away from here, at a place called UOP. Nora was a great translator, particularly of scientific and technical information. And she used to come to the library, meet with the librarian, and I would see her there. But I didn't really get to know her, but I would see her talking to the librarian, sharing information, and so forth. And so it was a few years later that through the Chicago section of the American Chemical Society, I became involved in science and public affairs. And I decided to set up a committee as a part of the section activities. And so when I put the notice out, Nora came to our first meeting. That was in the UOP library, which is about 2 miles down the road from here. Anyway, it was through that I got to know her. And we had a wonderful experience over the years with knowing Nora and meeting Nora and interacting with her, not only locally but nationally. We attended national meetings where we also shared some of our information. And so it was through that relationship that over the years I found out what a wonderful person she was. I also found out how her talents and her abilities and the things that she shared went far beyond the chemistry that we talked about and that we dealt with. Several of the meetings were at her home. Oftentimes we would go there, and she opened up her home to the social side of activities that we carried on with the Chemical Society. And so we would have our holiday parties there and all of that. And she was very gracious in that. She got CF involved too. It was about that time when I first met her that people were just beginning to get involved in utilizing computer technology to do many things. And when she found out that we were about to publish or trying to publish a document which had information whereby chemists could find out and keep track of their activities and get to know each other. This was during the early days of computer technology. She got CF involved to help us to put together a document that we could share with all the chemists in the area, having to do with their particular information, with their talents, and the things that they like to do. And so it was throughout our activities and throughout the time that I knew her that she would always open up and freely give and share the information and talents that she had. One other way that she shared was that she was a great gardener. And so if we would be working at her home, and as we would get ready to leave, she would say, "Do you want some collard greens? Do you want some cabbage? Do you want some tomatoes?" Whatever it was that had ripened in the garden that she thought you might enjoy or utilize. And so it was that way. The last time I saw her, which was about 3 years ago, when she was spending some time here and some time in Florida. And so I went into her garden, and she shared with me some collard greens which she had, and I took them home. And so those are memories that I will have of her. They're great and precious memories.
We're really welcome, friends. Yes.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Bean, and Nora and I had been friends for many years. I met her when she was president of the garden club, and there was a summer meeting at my house that year, and she came and she saw my garden, which was sort of a secret to everybody in the garden club, because I didn't talk about it, because I was a very shy, reserved person. I didn't really like to show off. So she found my garden, and she decided that I had something to offer to the garden club. So she got me interested in doing horticulture and being a horticulture chairman. And then she decided I could give programs, since I had all this knowledge of plants and everything, so I could give programs at garden clubs. And I was really afraid to stand up in front of people and, give a program. So she finally told me that I had to give a program on how to grow plants from seed, because I knew exactly how to do it. I had all the information, and she just knew I could do it. So it got to be the time for the program, and I brought my little things along that I was going to show people. And she was there, and she gave me encouragement. She said, "Now you're okay, you can do it." So I got up there shaking like this, like I always did in front of people. And I started doing the program, and I did it. I found out I could do it. So Nora was sort of a mentor for me. So after that, I started giving programs on gardening and plants for our garden club and for lots of other garden clubs. And I got over my shyness, and I started liking to talk about these things. So I always remember Nora for that. And the other thing that Nora and I did together a lot, another friend and I used to pick up Nora, and we would go to nurseries. And we would look at all the plants, and we'd probably buy a plant that was really big in a pot, and we could divide it 3 ways. And that way we got 3 plants, so we each got a plant from buying just 1. But every time we went to pick up Nora, we had to wait, because she had to do some translating first. She had to get this translating done before she could go. But she always went, and she brought a camera along, and we'd stop and take pictures along the road of what she wanted to take pictures of. And these are just really pleasant memories. And that not last summer, but the last summer she was here, I think it was, or maybe the summer before, she had a safe in her bathroom off of one of her bedrooms. And she lost the combination or something. She couldn't get in the safe. So she called somebody to come and break into the safe, and she didn't want to be home alone with this man. So she called me and asked me would I come over and be with her. So I went over there, and we had a lot of fun. It took him all afternoon. I don't know what the problem was, but this guy acted like he didn't really know what he was doing. But it took him all afternoon to break into this safe and break it open. So we had a good time. We had made lunch together, and we sat on the bed upstairs in this room, and we just talked and bonded together. And then she showed me she had a lot of collections, and she showed me her collection of handiwork, needlework and stuff that she had gotten in Hungary. And she asked me which one I wanted, so I picked one out, and so I have that memory of her, that she, gave me that day. And then when she would be in Florida, she would call me very often, because even though she had new friends in Florida, we were really good friends, and she was lonely, so she would always call her, I would call her, and we would talk on the phone. And so we had a lot of conversations, and every time, like when she won these contests and everything, she'd call me right away, and she'd tell me that she won, and she was so proud of it. And Then she got really sick, and they took her to Connecticut, Massachusetts, I'm sorry. And so then she started calling me often, really, like almost once a week, and we would talk because she was sick and she loved her family out there, but she was still very lonely because she didn't have any friends out there. And she was hoping she would get well enough to come back here so she could see her friends again, but it never happened. But we would talk on the phone, and she was writing stories at this time about what happened to her when she was a child in Hungary, and stories about during the war. And whenever she would call or I would call, she would read me a story that she had written. And this was so very interesting for me. I just treasured the thoughts and memories of these stories that she told me. And I mean, it was so interesting. It was something I never knew because she never talked about it when she was with me. But now she was doing this for her children. She wanted to write about everything that happened in her life, so that she could pass it on. So this was very interesting. And then shortly before Christmas this past year, she called me and she told me that she knew she wasn't going to get better. She told me she thought that they thought there was something wrong with her liver now, and she was very concerned, and she thought maybe that she wasn't going to make it, and she said mostly all she did now was sleep. And she said she just hoped she could last until the Christmas time when her whole family was coming out there. So she wanted to tell me goodbye because she didn't know if we'd ever be talking again. And that was the most precious moment in my life, I think, because I got to tell her goodbye and she got to tell me goodbye. Because you don't very often get to tell your friends goodbye. So I thought this was very precious. So Nora, I have so many memories of Nora that I'll never forget. The other thing I did for Nora that she found I could really do was, because I loved flowers and plants, I had a big garden, I could save flowers for her and dry them in telephone books, and then I could make bookmarks for her. So she taught me how to do that. So when she didn't have time to make bookmarks, she would have me come over and make bookmarks, mass-produced, because I could do like 60 in an afternoon, because I did things really fast, you know, and I could just place these flowers on there, and she thought it looked like I really formed something. I was putting the flowers on there. But they turned out really nice, and so we just had such a great relationship. And I'll always miss Nora. You girls and her sons were lucky to have her for a mother. Thank you.
I'd like to say a few words, but I can't make it up there, but I'm walking. So I'll just do it from here. I think most of you can hear me. I'm Jack Muldoon. I'm a friend of Nora's for, I'm not sure whether it's 15 or 16 or 17 years now. And I first ran into Nora, I think, we had some Friday night dinners going on. Professor here, Michael Logic was steady on Friday nights, as was another good friend of ours who passed away. And Nora joined the Crow, and she was one woman with three guys, so she brought in several other people. Yeah. But we would regale one another with our exploits, but no one could regale us more. I really appreciated Nora because she was a storyteller, and as an Irish American, we learned at a young age how to become storytellers. So, but she could regale us. She was talking about the days in Budapest 10, 12 years ago, before she got more open in recent years. And I happen to be a follower of the Second World War and the exploits of Germany and the terrible pogrom that was going on in Hungary at the time through the Hungarian Gestapo. And she was very, very lucky to have survived those years and then go on as a young woman to Australia, a brand new environment, and become an academic in Australia. And then later she said, the reason I left Australia is I thought they were discriminating against women. And when they're discriminating against women, they're discriminating against me. So Nora had a lot of me in her. Yeah, she would lecture us well on what we should eat. We were all widowers or divorced males at that particular time, and she thought our eating habits were atrocious, which perhaps they were. But she would lecture us very well on how we should eat and how we should live the rest of our lives. So I appreciate all that advice. I actually adhered to some of it. Not a lot of it, but some of it. So we'll miss Nora certainly at our Friday night dinners. I remember going to her acts over at the Metropolis Theater when she was taking those. And I happened to be a computer instructor over at the senior center, and she would always love to pick brains. She never stopped learning. So anyway, she's a person to be beloved and to be missed. Thank you.
Yes.
I wasn't planning to do this, so it's going to be really short. I've known Nora for about 12 years, and you see my picture around because she liked to use me as a photographic model because I had some weird ways to do my face, I guess. But anyway, I met Nora at the senior center. When I retired, I had decided I wanted to try acting in some way. And I had seen in a local paper that there was a little acting class for seniors that was provided in the Arlington Heights Senior Center. And they were going to be starting a new class. Yay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So I went to the class, and it was Robin's class, and this is the class that I had read about. But this was a new session. Well, there was one other lady there, and Robin, who was the teacher, and in a few minutes, this funny little lady came in the door and she said, is this the class? And we said, well, yes. And of course, Robin knew her, it was Nora. And she said, where is everybody? And well, there just weren't that many of us. There was this one other lady and me. And Nora said, well, I think I want to take the class again. Because she was afraid that if there were only two of us to take the class, there wouldn't be enough. And she could tell that we really were interested and we really wanted to take the class. And so, although she had had it already, she just made up her mind that she was going to do it again in order to help us out. And that was Nora in a nutshell. She just made up her mind, well, I'll just do it again. And that typified Nora to me. I got to know her much better, and I worked with her, and I worked with her photography, and I visited her in Florida, and we did lots of things together. But one of the things that I remember the most was that she put herself out, never even thought about, well, of course, I'll just take the class again, and then they'll allow us to take it, to have it provided. Without that, my life would be different. So I really appreciated that, and I love Nora, and I will really, really miss her.
Good afternoon. I'm Norma DeSilvio, and I worked for Nora for over 25 years, part-time. We burned the midnight oil together. This woman was so amazing. She had 3 times the energy that I could ever expect. And I used to say to her, Nora, I do have to get up for work tomorrow morning. And she's like, yeah, but we just have to get this one last thing done. And you can email it because they need it first thing in the morning, you know. And so talking about how she saved Beanie Babies, there was an owl Beanie Baby on top of the computer. So I said, well, that's because we're night owls. So that represented us working late. And she was just such an amazing person to me. I never met anyone who did so much and lived such a full life. And one time we had a conversation when she had some employees over, and CF had his business and had some employees over. And we started to discuss about retiring. And both Nora and CF said, oh, we'll never retire. You know, why would you want to retire? And I said, well, I'd like to retire because I want to do all the things I don't have time to do while I'm working. And they said, you know, but you need to work. You need to keep your mind going. You need that. And so now I just retired 2 months ago, and I realized that Nora didn't need to retire because she did translating, which was her passion. So why retire from that? She fit in all the things that I never found time to fit in with all her activities. And so why retire? She lived her full life, and it was a wonderful life. And back to what Joe said about fixing meals in late years, recent years, she'd ask me, you know, I'm having a little trouble with my knees to go downstairs. Would you mind fixing me dinner? No, Nora, what do you want? And again, she would give me the whole list. This is what I want, so much of this, so much of that. Brought it up on the tray, and she had her dinner at the computer. So, Nora, we will all miss you very much, and you're out of pain and in a happier place.
My cousins decided that it would be, for anyone who wished to, the photographs are for the taking as mementos. For those of you who want to have one or more, please feel free to take them. I have a few things to say. Yes, the voice of caution. Of course, if they're photographs of you, take photographs of yourself. Not of people you don't know. Although I'm very tempted. I've been negotiating this with Linda. I really think one of the photographs I would dearly love to have. But we'll talk over lunch. So my Uncle C.H.'s statement mentioned Nora's innocence when they first met. And I think in many ways, she kept that innocence through much of her life. I mean, she's always had this childlike curiosity and delight and fascination with new things, new experiences, and really above all, new ideas. She was willing to discuss any topic late into the night if it caught her fancy. And her ability to maintain this youthful essence was really marvelous. So for example, I think it's just striking that her success in her mid-80s, mind you, to find a suitable boyfriend online. It really blows my mind, because I know 20-something people who don't do this and can't do this and can't figure out how to do it. Now, some people may feel a tinge of unease when I talk about this, but I don't, because I really feel that this was just a reflection of her eternal youthfulness it really was part of her essence. Nora was an extraordinary and also extraordinarily complex woman, just like a fine wine. And by that metaphor, it also suggests that in her youth, she had a lot of tannins. But over the years, the tannins gradually mellowed and evanesced and to reveal her very fine qualities. And so that, like a fine Bordeaux, she was delicious after almost a century. And, we all know her as this multifaceted, talented, creative person with incredible resolve, focus, and determination. And as a friend, she was generous and also deeply loyal. And for those reasons, we love her. And we will all miss her. Thank you for coming. So there's refreshment in the hall outside. Please feel free to join us.
Well, it had trouble at first, and it's been okay. I'm behaving, and then I stepped away from it and it started working. I hope everyone was not. We will get or through your email. Thank you.
It's not what concerns you, but I didn't know what it proved, so I didn't. When you, this is in 1960.